What's up, guys? MainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and welcome to, in my opinion, the biggest winner of patch 4.20, and it is Armor King. And just like Heihachi, it's just very, very well deserved. He's always been difficult to play, complicated game plan, and very weak. Very weak. I'd always put him towards the very bottom of tier lists. But he's received some really nice buffs, and yeah, like with Heihachi, can't wait to see JDCR play him. And to be fair, Armor King has always been one of the absolute most popular characters in Tekken 7. Like, he's gone from like top 3 in character picks to like top 5. So when a character is just so overwhelmingly voted by the community as, you know, one of the absolute coolest in the game, and he really is. That redesign is the best in the game. It would be nice if he wasn't like absolute garbage. You know, he's a badass. He should hit hard. He should be able to get shit done. And now he gets shit done. So let's look at the buffs. You know, in my opinion, the big winner of this patch, and we're gonna start with forward neutral 2, the low. He doesn't really have momentum building lows, or he has one, but it's super unsafe. It's launch punishable, and what happens? They make the, oh god, they make this low -14. Just like King's forward neutral 2, they were like, okay, we made King's -14. King now has, you know, insane lows, you know, together with the down 3, but he also stole from Armor King. So, they were like, oh, we should buff Armor King's lows. He should have momentum building lows that are not launch punishable. So now what this means is that we have a low we can very conveniently do from a wave dash or just from standing, that on normal hits nets us 17 damage and just a monstrous +7. Where that's enough frame advantage to set up a lot of disgusting stuff, to say the least. And now it's still a counter hit launcher. And what they also did to this low is improve its evasive properties. You'll see that Armor King immediately ducks down and then chops at their knees or feet. This used to, within like 12 frames into the animation, it would start doing a high evasion. They changed that to 8 frames. So as soon as this animation starts now, not even a jab is going to interrupt it. It's going to go right over Armor King's head. So much better evasive properties, -14 on a normal hit, +7, 17 damage, and still a counter hit launcher. And this has a lot of range, by the way. Armor King has very, very long arms. He's a very big man. This to me is almost too big of a buff. It's just super, super good. So yeah, this is just super good. We'll see where this ends up, but you know, huge buff for Armor King. But again, a low tier character, complicated to play. He deserves big buffs. Next up, we have down for 2, a move that's always had good tracking, but now they just said, fuck it, and made it outright homing. Now a homing attack. So 15 frames, -12 on block. It reminds you a lot of Kazuya's down for 2 now, it's just that it's 1 frame slower. But this move has like insane range. Okay, you can't really see it now. It hits like from very far away. Like, especially when you get the counter hit where people extend their hitbox. They press buttons, but so -12, but you can add an additional hit, a high, which they can duck obviously, but if they don't, -6. So there's a little bit of a mix-up built into this attack. And yeah, when you do score, I mean, on normal hit, 21 damage is very chunky, +4. When you do get the counter hit, blap blap, Shining Wizard. I love it. Oh, come on, I should have done that first attempt. I don't usually have trouble with that, but it's YouTube, you know how it is. 65 damage. If there's a wall nearby, you can quite easily do something like this, you know, or whatever. This is a huge buff. Huge buff to Armor King. Also used to have trouble with people sidestepping him. You know, you want to sidestep these throws. And to be honest, his homing was never that scary. Forward foot 3 was, but so you'd usually just step into a duck. It would be quite good versus him. Everything else was so linear. Down forward 1+2, pretty slow. Didn't give a lot on hit. But so now, this is gonna just lock people down. So space control has gone up a lot. It's gone up a lot. And again, you will be surprised at how far away this is going to hit people and counter it them. It's a very strong move to just control space overall. And then another big buff is his down forward 1. They've given it an increased vertical hitbox in terms of depth towards the ground. It has a low, the hitbox has expanded downwards. It might not sound like a lot, but this is super, super massive for Armor King. This used to whiff, for example, when, well, a lot of down forward 1 whiffs these, you know, proper bullshit characters like Ling Xiaoyu, Zafin, and Lei. Insert all of these characters, and even Paul to a certain extent, who will have attacks that evade a lot of highs, and even some mids. They just duck down so much during their attacks. But this would just go right over them, over their head. But with this buff, this will now clip Xiaoyu in a lot of her attacks. Even AOP, it's like it will hit her. So this has done a lot to counter a lot of Armor King's like bad matchups. And this was already a very strong down forward 1. So this is a big deal. And then we have back 2, like another big deal. This received a damage buff for Season 4, and now they've buffed the damage yet again. Second hit used to do 17, now it does 20. And you can see this visually even in the hit spark now. Gives a hit spark. Boom! 32 damage. And again, it's got very decent range. And they also removed a lot of a pushback on hit. So the opponent stays right next to you, very eager and ready to eat a throw mix-up. Does a lot for his punishment. Nice buff. And then Shining Wizard used to do 40 damage, now does 45. Big buff to his throw mix-ups. Note that this is only for grounded. This has not changed the damage of the airborne Shining Wizard. And then Dalmak 1+2 has gone from +3 on block to +5. This was always a very slow attack, so it's so minimal use, but they want us to use it more. So again, +5, really nice. And now it's also a counter hit launcher. Did not use to launch on counter hit. Oh, and again, back 1-2 buff or a pretty direct buff to also his this ground throw here. Guarantees back 1-2. So also, you know, nice buff. But so yeah, again, down back 1+2 has seen some very nice buffs. Counter it launcher attribute and +5, which is pretty damn monstrous. So that's really nice. And then we have down 3. Always been one of his best lows. They separated this in Season 3 from King's down 3 by giving it a counter hit property. It would then, you know, have him go, you know, he holds his leg, and +9. You know, you always gave +1 for uninterruptible giant swing. I mean, they can always sidestep, you know, you only have 1 frame of advantage. But if they don't sidestep, there's nothing that's going to interrupt giant swing, unless they do something really stupid like dick jab that's going to be beaten by hop kick. But so, yet again, they want to separate it from King, so they've given it a damage buff. It used to do 11 damage, and now it does 14 damage. That's quite the damage increase. 3 more and an 11 damage attack. That's almost like, what, like 30% or something? Or 25%. 25 to 30%. It's a big deal. It was already a good low. So yeah, his lows have really gone up in value here, like really gone up. And then we have down for 3, leaves your opponent closer on hit with the +5. It's just so that you can threaten more with a throw mix-up. And that's really all we want to do with Armor King. We want to threaten with throws. So down for 3 leaves them closer on hit, so we can capitalize on the +5. And then the all too important while standing 4, the wave dash mid check, saw a similar buff. They reduced the pushback on hit. It still pushes back a bit, more so than down for 3, but you can still get a nice throw mix-up. So again, a very, very nice quality of life buff. And then we have down for 1+2, a pretty important mid-homing move to Armor King. Well, now you have down for 2. But this one was always safe at -7, but now it's -4. So this definitely is much, much better for you. It's now very viable to actually sidewalk afterwards, after this is blocked. You can dodge a lot of stuff doing that. Whereas when you were at -7, you were really taking a big gamble. It was just not in your... it was really not in your interest to sidestep. -7 is a big, big frame lockdown, but -4, you know, really opens up options for you afterwards. And then we have while standing 1, which has had a broken hitbox ever since, what, tag 1? 20 years plus. They finally fixed it. So now they've expanded the hitbox downwards, or made it bigger overall. So it has more range, but it's also not going to be beaten out by all kinds of attacks where opponents go down towards the ground. Or attacks where, you know, you block a sweep and they're recovering close to the ground and it just goes right over their head. So, you know, finally is all I can say. While standing 1 now, 20 years later, does what it was set out to do. It's not a broken attack anymore, in the worst way possible. Broken as it didn't work. So now it works, but it still remains a 16-frame launcher. So anything obviously that's 15, you're gonna hop kick, and hop kick range is still terrible, even though hop kick range was buffed with Season 4. And the last thing we're going to cover is chain throws. Okay. I can't hit 2 buttons at once, that's impressive. So this option right here, you'll see it does 5 more, used to do 55. The final part where he does you know, it just looks so good. Used to do 20 in total, now it does 25. So total damage accumulation in the chain throw is 60, used to be 55. And this is the case for every single chain throw he has. They've added about 5 damage to all of them, just to make the chain throws more viable. It's still not a shit ton of damage, but you know, it's very welcome. They're still quite easy to break, but the chain throw, a true 50-50 from wave dash if you throw. Due to, you can start it with 1+4 or 2+3. So that's a 1 break or a 2 break to do the exact same chain throw. So it's a very, very strong throw option for Armor King. So seeing some damage increase is nice. Although it obviously would have been better to see 5 more damage on the initial throw. But maybe that would have been too good. So those are the buffs for Armor King, like some incredible stuff, and he obviously shoots up the tier list. He's definitely not in the bottom part of the tier list anymore. But we'll see where he ends up. 4-4 neutral 2 is enormous. It's almost too good. It's so strong. Most characters won't be able to launch this. Out. On a counter launcher that's that chunky, you know, +7. So super good buffs to the lows. And down for 2, down for 1, back 1, 2, Shining Wizard, down back 1+2, 1 standing 4, down for 3. So great news for Armor King players, and I'm sure most people in the Tekken community are happy because everyone just loves this guy, and he's still like so difficult to play. So Yeah, I'm just super happy, and I can't wait to see all Armor King players online enjoy the character. I hope you like the breakdown, and yeah, I'm gonna wish you a lovely day. Take care.